All right. Welcome to my industry presentation. My name is Aaron Ratliff, and today I'll be telling you a little bit about my vision for my future in the audio industry and how I plan to get where I want to go in the end. So, let's hop right into it. So, my path. My dream job would be to be a mix engineer for a well-respected studio. I've always been really interested in music, and I love creating and making music. And I think that mixing music is probably one of the more creative jobs you can get on the engineering side of things. Behind the glass. Because you have such a direct effect on how the music sounds in the end and what the outcome is. And so I've always been really interested in that, but I also understand that that's not something that you can just walk in like straight out of school and then be a mix engineer for a big studio. You need to have some experience before they'll consider letting you do that. So I plan on working my way through the audio industry and gaining experience where I can in different jobs and different gigs that I can get my hands on, and then eventually getting that big job at the end. So I think I would start out as a sequencing programmer in the gaming world, and my job here would be to work with the composer to convert their scored sheet music into MIDI tracks inside of a digital audio workspace. This wouldn't be too hard for me because I already have a good amount of experience in both Logic and FL Studio on my own time, but then also here at Full Sail, I've been learning how to use Pro Tools and Logic more too. So I think just with that experience alone, I would already have most of the skills I would need to perform this job well. And I think that by working here and just working hard, I would be able to show any future employers that I do have the ability to work well with others to reach that end goal and make things happen. And so, yeah, once I have a little bit of experience in the industry, I could move up to a more independent job. And so, here, I think. My next step would probably be to be like a sound assistant for either a movie or a TV show. And what you would do here is the sound assistant works with the sound mixer and the boom operator on set, and they're responsible for striking and setting up audio equipment. So if you're doing a specific scene and you need to move some of the audio equipment or anything like that, that's going to be the sound assistant's job, making sure the cables are running in safe directions so nobody's going to trip on them and scrape a knee or whatever. And so pretty much making sure everything's running smoothly. Once again, not really doing too much audio work on your own, like mixing or anything like that, but really just more hardware side and setting up things and making sure everything's running smoothly. But this would give me hardware skills and knowledge that I would need to run a large scale production, which is important in all areas of the industry. And next, I think the last step for me on my way to be a mix engineer would to do some live audio engineering, and so I think I would try to find like a front of house gig at a festival or just a good sized venue, or even monitors too, just mixing in general, so I could have some more experience in that area. I think this is probably the closest I would get outside of a studio to seeing what it would be like to be a mix engineer, because you still are mixing sound and uh, getting actual hands on with the board and stuff like that. So I feel like once I have the experience as an audio technician and I've done the mixing live, they'll be able to consider me for a position in a studio where I can do pretty much the same thing, but just studio and a little more technical. So yeah, my end goal would be to be a mix engineer for music, and the hours can be pretty erratic and that's fine with me. I'm not a person who has like a solid sleep schedule or anything. I wake up and I want to do music anyways. So if I was just mixing all day, I would be fine with that. And just my experience, like I said, from all the previous jobs would have prepared me for this. So as a sequencing programmer, I'd get all the DAW experience I would need, so I'd feel comfortable in the DAWs. And as a sound assistant, I would get the technical knowledge for the different microphones and things I might be using in the studio setting to record. And then lastly, the skills as an audio technician would be vital to my success as a mix engineer, because that would give me the mixing background that I need, and just the background with working with music and knowing how things are going to sound live, and then using that in a studio environment to make sure that the music that I'm mixing for my artist is going to sound just as good whenever they're playing it live. And so now we're gonna get into a couple of the sweet gigs page that was on the website, and some of the ones that inspired me. This is the DJ slash producer Atlantic Connection. His name is Nathan Hayes. He grew up in a big city like me, and his story kind of inspired me because he said, like, growing up, he never really had a lot. He just knew he was into music, but he was never really like in like the band at his school or anything like that. He just started to do music on his own, and DJing and producing and stuff on the side, and he eventually started to see success in that. And once people caught on to that, he was able to take that recognition and grow his own brand off of that, and kind of put himself out there. So he started off as a young DJ, and he's able to work himself up and get a job with MTV, doing a whole bunch of different stuff for them. And so this kind of helps me realize that, like, regardless of where you're from, like, everybody has a chance to get into like this big industry. Everybody knows that it can be hard to get in to the entertainment industry and find a well-paying job, but stories like this kind of help me realize that it is possible for anybody, and that you just have to work hard and keep your head open. And then another story was Wendy Day. Her story inspired me because she was just a fan of the hip hop industry for a long time, and she wanted to belong. She wanted to be like valuable in the industry, but she didn't make music or anything like that. And she eventually realized that a lot of the big labels were going after a lot of hip hop artists who were just making good music, and they didn't really know too much about the business side of music. They just wanted to get money quickly so that they could, provide for their family and their friends and everything. And they were getting into these bad deals with labels. And so she started her whole business to break bad deals for artists so that they can get out of these bad relationships with labels and be free on their own. And so her story kind of made me understand that, like, as a smaller artist myself, like, you don't have to worry about labels because they're really not like big, and you can succeed without one. And also, it just inspires me that she never really had any musical background, but she's still such a big part of the industry. And so, yeah, in conclusion, that is my path of where I want to go and how I think I can get there, and some of the people that inspired me to do so. So, thank you for your time. Here are my sources, and that's pretty much it. I hope you have a great day.